Hello all, I am Carter Newberry, and I chose to do my music presentation on Pink Floyd. In particular, I chose to analyze their album, The Dark Side of the Moon. Let's begin with some background. Pink Floyd, an English rock band, released their eighth album, The Dark Side of the Moon, in 1973. This album is considered to revolve around the progressive rock genre. This album is widely recognized as Pink Floyd's best album, as well as one of the greatest albums of all time. Hit singles from this album include Money and Us and Them, which both topped the Billboard charts at one point. The album itself remained on the Billboard charts for 741 weeks after its release, which is truly remarkable. The Dark Side of the Moon was somewhat experimental in terms of what instruments and musical techniques were used. Their previous albums were claimed to lack the extended instrumental excursions, partly due to Syd Barrett leaving the band in 1968. Syd Barrett left the band to deal with his ongoing struggle with mental illness, which is a major theme throughout the album. His replacement, David Gilmour, referred to the band's instrumentals as that psychedelic, noodling stuff, and helped the band establish themselves in a different way. The Dark Side of the Moon contains musique concrète on several tracks. This term is French for concrete music. It is often referred to as experimental music and was used in this way in the album. This type of experimental music utilizes acousmatic listening, which means sounds the listener hears are intentionally obscured or meant to sound like there are no connections between them. Oftentimes, the band used the human voice and nature sounds mixed with synthesizers to obscure these connections. Identified several key musical elements in Pink Floyd's music, including form, rhythm, chord, and tonality. The form of this type of music involves using long, extended choruses and verses to explain complex themes, which is uncommon amongst other groups in that time period. There is a greater freedom of rhythm in progressive rock than the other rock genres, and complex time signatures are utilized to create a polyrhythmic effect. Chords are typically standard triads, but deviate significantly from the tonality of music from the classical era. This album included 10 tracks and was separated into two distinct sides, 5 songs apiece. Each side was a continuous piece of music from track to track. The 5 tracks from each side reflect various stages of life. Each song begins and ends with a heartbeat, which helps explore the human experience. Through this method, several themes are explored, including greed, time, conflict, and mental illness. As mentioned previously, their former bandmate Syd Barrett suffered through mental illness, so this theme was very personal to the rest of the members. Throughout the album, the music reveals an empathetic mood. Several of the songs make the listener reflect on times that they have felt particular emotions and they feel like they can relate to the song and its powerful lyrics. In particular, the songs Breathe and Time are songs that many can relate to even today. The song Breathe focuses on the importance of living your own life regardless of what others may think. Many people can relate to this regardless of what generation they are from. Time explores the concept that society focuses too much on things that do not matter in the big picture of life, and that humans must focus on the most important things. Many people in today's society could very well relate to this, especially in making impactful decisions. As mentioned previously, the group used advanced recording methods for their time, including multi-track recording and tape loops. Analog synthesizers played a key role, and several quotes from Pink Floyd's Road Crew were incorporated throughout. Despite each song having a similar sound, a different combination of instruments was used in each of them. The band still utilized the common rock instrumentation, but several other instrument sounds were created through the use of a synthesizer. Pink Floyd debuted its album while on their world tour. Their first live performance was in Portsmouth, England at the Guildhall. Throughout their tour, the band performed at festivals, theaters, concert halls, amphitheaters, and sports stadiums, among others. The Dark Side of the Moon had a major impact on modern music. The album is known to have been a pivotal turning point for rock music, as Pink Floyd introduced several new ways to play some meaningful music. It is widely known that rock music was booming in the 70s and the 80s, and Pink Floyd has been credited with being one of the groups that paved the way for them. With the multitude of themes explored in this album, there is no shortage of social influence the band had on society. The focus of mental illness was prominent, as it led to the illness and its effects being put under the microscope to the general public. The everyday struggles that the average human deals with through life were also explored, which made this album one of the most relatable albums of its generation. Even today, this album and its messages can still be utilized in everyday life. Throughout my research, UltimateClassicRock.com, RollingStone.com, and Billboard.com were utilized to obtain information. Where I attached my presentation, I've added a couple of links to helpful videos, including a guide on concrete music as well as a clip from one of Pink Floyd's songs, Time. Thank you for listening.